Diablo 4. This is going to be my thoughts of the game so far. Is it good? Will I play it? In short, yes. I think it's a very, very good game. I will definitely be playing it. And in this video, I plan to talk about the reasons why. I will also add in my tier list of the classes I find the weakest, strongest. This is in my opinion. And while we're doing this, we'll clear a stronghold. See if I can concentrate on both things. So, Diablo 4 has got amazing graphics to start off with. I don't see any real improvements in the graphics, other than these skeletons that look crap. But we're not talking about the classes just yet. I don't think I could have any better comments on the game, really. I've got very, very few negatives. Even people that I play a lot with pointed out that they was playing this game with me for hours upon hours and did not hear me complain. That means a lot. I don't know why I'm climbing down there. That means a lot, you know? For me to not complain about a game, that means a lot. I have a constant ability to point out negatives on a game that a lot of people don't appreciate. I like to try and keep reviews balanced. There are only 25 missions that are currently on the map. However, there are 35 in Act 1. Other missions are found from killing mobs and from finding them in chests and so on. I like this. I think this is interesting. It gives the ability to drop an item and go, oh, that's something to do. That's interesting. So I do appreciate that. The campaign, not very long from Act 1. It was very, very short. It's like 5 or 6 missions. It did not take me very long to complete the campaign. I was kind of disappointed with that. But the campaign was really good. Like, I got so immersed into the story. I'm actually very annoyed that I can't play more. I want to see more of the story. It was such a good story. Very dark. A lot darker than I expected Blizzard to get into it in this day and age, if I'm honest. Like, I was very, very deeply disturbed by some of the concepts in the story. I won't spoil any of the story, but there's some really dark storyline in there. But it was so good. Like, I really got into it. So I've got nothing bad to say about the storyline other than just sheerly how short it was. If they made the story longer, it would be better. But we've only got Act 1. It's not really been a typical thing for Diablo to have all acts the same length. So Act 1 could potentially be the shortest of all the acts. Again, it could also be the longest. Let's hope not. But the top tier quality when it comes to the actual story, the cutscenes look absolutely incredible. I love the shrines. Like, the shrines in this game. They changed the entire environment. Usually when you get a shrine, you grow a bigger pair of balls and you go and fight something that you probably not really too prepared for. But in this, they float to balloons. As soon as you collect your shrine, you don't give a crap what's in the way. You don't care what's in the way. You're like, where's that boss? I'm going to destroy him. It's very fun. Whether or not it's overpowered or not, I don't know. They do not last very long. And you really have to move quick to get to the boss. But man, they could do so much damage. Every shrine turns you into a god. They are an absolute blast. You've got whispering chests, I think they're called. Silent chests? Can't remember. But you can buy keys from the Orbal lady, which is... What's her name? It's not going to show me on the map, is it? It doesn't show me on the map, damn it. I think they call him the provisioner or the purveyor of curiosities. Something. Can't remember her name. She's basically Kadala. From anyone that's played Diablo 2, she's Kadala, and you spend these things, or balls, which is basically blood shards. I had no problems with the blood shard mechanic in D3. Gamble mechanic, no problem. I had some nicknames for Kadala because she didn't really give me what I wanted, but other than that, you know, the mechanic it's a sound mechanic. It's a nice little gamble thing. I do get some nice stuff from her. It's nice to pick up those rewards and spend the gamble. But that's what she is. She's basically Kadala. Let's see if I can survive this stronghold. But I like the mechanic, and if you don't know what to buy, which in D3 happened to me a lot, where I've got everything that I really want, and I could roll for ever so slight better versions of what I had, and I didn't really want to. I didn't really feel that motivated to spend a load of blood shards on a ever so slight change to my gear. So on this, you could buy the Whispering Keys, which will open the silent chests. I think that's all silent chests. Basically a gamble box that you can find across the world. And this just leaves it to fate. If you don't know exactly what you want, you can buy a key and leave it to fate. See what I get, naturally. I greatly appreciate this. I think this is a good thing. Takes away that choice now, and I could just stack up on keys and just let RNG take its little role. Which RNG is not good to me, so that probably won't be a good thing in the long run. But concept I do like. Treasure goblins on this game, though. Treasure goblins have got a good drop rate. They drop not a lot of legendaries, but they do have a good chance of dropping legendaries. But man, are they hard to catch, especially at the start of the game. They move like lightning, and they like to aim towards things that will kick your ass. So that could be a lot of fun, trying to chase them down. Some builds find it a little bit easier, you know, ones that can freeze them, for example. There we go, I've taken over this stronghold. Boom. For any of you that have been wondering, this is where the 7th strong waypoint is, in that stronghold. I got a Discord full of people that were going mental trying to find the 7th waypoint. It is in this stronghold. You have to take it over to get it. Let's go and do this, I guess. But what was I saying? Yeah, this leads me to the strongholds, which I've been doing. You've been watching me do it. They are fun mechanic. Every stronghold seems to be very different. I've done a different thing in all 3 strongholds. We've only got 3 in the beta at the moment. But I've enjoyed them. They are typically considered party content, I think. But as you can see, I didn't have a party. I have struggled a little bit more with some classes in this, but ultimately they've not been that difficult. Again, I do have full legendaries. I believe the legendary drop rate has been inflated. I'm not sure how much, and I'm not sure if that's true. But I do believe that the drop rates have been increased for the beta so we can see the builds options. Because it would appear that a lot of the builds are made from your gear, not so much from your skills. Which is a good thing for me, because I do not like this skill tree. There we go. There's me one positive negative. This skill tree is so small and basic that it bores me. I feel like there's not many options in my build. There's not many things I can do. There's 2 or 3 different paths, or you can hybrid it, which, you know, obviously more options. But I feel like they've dumbed it down more in D4 than they did in D3. And D3 was very basic in their skill anyway. So But need to. Diablo's never really been super complex in its build diversity. I have been playing other games that've got a lot more build diversity. But I'm satisfied. I'm happy with it. I would rather it be a lot more complex, personally. I don't know if this is just a beta. Because I feel like around level... What are we at? I'm on 26 points, 7 points there, so... You know, we've only got to like 33, and then I'll be able to buy one of these masteries, which sadly you cannot buy in the beta. But there's not many skills there, and you can't do an awful lot. That's probably my biggest problem with this game. My only real big problem, I would say, is I find the skill tree kind of crap. You've got the specializations, which are nice, but they're not a great deal there. Necromancer, you could basically choose what type of minions I want, and I've got 2 options of what I want to choose, or I could just get rid of them, which is nice. I do find that right now the Necromancer is a lot more powerful without the minions, but you know, that's fine. If people want to play without minions, they could still really benefit from the Necromancer. But other than that, I think the skill tree is acceptable. It's a much more casual game. There's a lot of things on the map you can collect. I don't know how many I've collected on this character. I ran around collecting these Altars of Lilith, which give you little boost to your power, and I liked them. I did, however, think that they were account-wide. I must have just been mistaken on that, but they are not account-wide. The completion, if we go to the rewards, the bottom ones, as you can see, the skill points, potion charge, max orbals, paragon points, these bottom ones are account-wide. The rewards are account-wide. The top ones can be collected on every character, the gold and the XP. They can be collected on every character, which is nice. I did think it was all account-wide, so I was a little bit disappointed with that. Just personally, I prefer to focus on the campaign and the endgame content rather than running around the map collecting things. I love to collect. I love to do that mechanic, running around collecting seeds or chests or whatever there is in the game to run around and do completion. But it's something that I like to do slowly, long-term, once. You know? It's not something I like to do on every character. And I tend to not do it on every character unless I get really bored. And as far as I'm concerned, if I get that bored that I run around collecting non-stop on all my characters, then maybe you need more content in your game. But that's just my opinion, you know? So far, I've not found myself that bored. I kind of collected everything because I couldn't continue, you know? I ran around doing all the map completion because I can't carry on playing the game. There's no end game in the game or whatever. I suspect when there's end game, hope when there's end game, it will be something that I have to try and make time for. Map completion should be something I should try and make time for rather than do because there's nothing to do. But the combat is very engaging. It's very fun. The sound effects are great. I actually mildly annoyed one of my friends because I went on for about 20 minutes about how great the crossbows sound. And if you are watching this video, apologies. I was impressed, okay? I was impressed. Some of the sound effects sound really good. Some of them are really, really good. They sound very impactful. Others a lot more than others. Some a lot more than others. But I was quite impressed by the detail on some of the weaponry, mainly the crossbow. I'll save their ears and I won't repeat my opinions. But let's just say it was really good, like really good sound effects. Maybe you'll hear it when we go to my rogue. Put you out your misery. Okay. Now that my PC's working again. I have completely lost my trail of thought. I think about done with this dungeon, sadly. I was hoping for a big boss man, but apparently the big boss man is not in this dungeon. That's one of the other good things about the dungeon, is a lot of dungeons have different mechanics. There are some that are the same. There are quite a few repetitive dungeons, but we are in Act 1. I'm hoping that different acts are going to have different templates and different themes. So ones that I'm finding pretty repetitive in Act 1 will not be a problem in Tier 2. They'll be different. I think. I hope. We have to live in hope, guys. We have to live in hope. Other than that, I do think that the dungeons are pretty good. Another legendary. So, as you could see here, legendaries, just in this run, I don't know how much of it was caught in this video, but all this loot is found in this one dungeon, which includes 4 legendaries. You can pause those to look for them if you want. But 4 legendaries in this one dungeon. I do feel like this is way too much. But, like I said, I hope that they've been inflated. I'm pretty sure someone said it was inflated for the beta, which is a good thing because it gives us a chance to have a look at the different diversity of the skills, because a lot of them do change the build a lot, which means a lot of the build generation will be in the item as well as the skills. Adds a little bit more to it. Whether or not, like, how much this is increased by, I don't know. We still want to drop legendaries, you know? Like, I want legendaries to be more than D2. But I want them to be less than D3. D3 dropped way too many. We won't go into D3, but I want legendaries to feel legendary. I want them to feel rare. I want them to feel powerful. I want them to impact my build. I want to drop an item and consider whether or not it's worth changing to a Blood Nova build because of the Blood Nova item I just found. This is what keeps the game fun for me. I could be playing a full bone build, find some amazing blood specialized equipment, and then think, damn, I need to go to a blood build. I need to try this skill out. Might switch back, might not, who knows? But this is what we want. We want to be able to find them. And so far, just a couple of the legendaries, I've got Blood Nova shoots twice. Blood Surge, sorry, shoots twice. I call it Blood Nova because, yeah. Shoots twice. This is good. Not really defining, just nice. Whereas there is... Where is it? I do have something that I would say is pretty build defining. Decompose does multiple targets. I'm not using Decompose, but that's basically Blood Siphon. And it pulls from multiple targets, so it's an AoE. This is a nice build-defining item, I think. It will change them. Obviously, increase more skeletons. It's nice to have. Have a look at some of the new ones I've just got, which I've not yet looked at. Bone Storm, Blood Wave are now Darkness skills. See, this could drastically change a build. This could make me consider whether or not I want to play a full Darkness build now, because 2 of my skills are bones. I might come back to this. Maybe in my outro we'll try a new skill. Try a whole new loadout and see what it goes to. It'll be a completely on-the-spot made-up build. We'll see how it works. I'll probably get absolutely hammered. Blight's Defiled Arrow when spawn pulls in enemies. That could be really good, pulling in enemies. I'm happy with the legendaries. I do think they need to be pulled down in the drop rate, but I'm happy with the legendary types we've got. And the drop rate should hopefully go down a little bit. So we'll start off with the Druid. I'm sure a lot of people expected him to be here. Druid is a very fun class, as I've seen myself. But he is undeniably, in my opinion, the weakest of all the classes in the game. I feel like he could be a lot more powerful late game. But as at this point in the beta, at level 25, he kills a lot slower. He has less sustain than most. Probably sustainability is tied with the barbarian. But this is the build that I've found the most success with. Using creeper vines to keep them still. I'm using poison to kill to deal damage. I've tried using a bear form. I've tried not dying a few times. Probably the second time I died in the entire beta. I'm gonna do what most pro gamers do and put that down to lag and FPS and my mum and what we're talking about. Yes, barbarian. No, that's not barbarian. Druid. Druid. I'm good at this. Ignore everything. I'm good. So, Druid I find is fun. I do enjoy it, though I personally get bored of transformation builds fairly quick. But right now, you know, fighting with the wolf feels savage. It feels fun. I would like it to do more damage, but I've got level 25, my gear is not very good. I've not done a great deal of farming. We don't have access to his mastery, as the quest is actually... I think everything's just respawned around me. Quest is up here, up in a tier 2 zone. So this obviously prevents me from getting to it in the beta. So I've changed all my skills over to bear. As you can see, I've got rid of the wolves because I've got some other skills that might be more useful. I've kept the creeping vines because it seems like a great skill, a great crowd control. Always feels like it's going to be a good one to have on the bar. So we'll have a quick show on the bear form, which the animations are fantastic. I love the way the bear form looks. Nice, big, beefy, makes you really feel like a brute. At the moment, damage is good, but it seems to fall off in the wrong moments. It seems to have troubles. It costs a lot of mana. The barbarian. Only on this list as low as it is because of the current level and restrictions within the beta. I do believe the barbarian will be a top tier class. Already at level 16, I'm seeing the power of my barbarian grow significantly. But as of yet, he's one of the weaker classes in the game. I'm hoping the event is up down here so we can see a bit of it. But I find jumping into them, we're using all my buffs. I can gain a lot of power, charge into them, and then use upheaval as my damage source. Which seems to work very well. As you can see, it clears mobs. Even on level 20, it's doing big damage. But it does need a lot more time to ramp up to that damage than other classes. I do have Berserk on, so every few attacks, damage gets higher. As you can see, and there leaves a problem. He is very melee, so he needs a lot more resistance and a lot more health in order to survive the combat. This is not a bad thing, but it's a thing that a lot of people seem to be struggling with. Being up close and personal with the enemy means that you need to be able to survive the enemy. And at early game, without all your buffs, that's not easy to do. Once you've got a few legendaries under your belt, you've got your buffs on, got some iron skin, I can take a nice beating. I've now got a shield on, I've got a barrier, and I'm starting to take a lot more damage. But ultimately, it's not as powerful as the other classes. Yet. The fact he has 4 weapons in his arsenal Means I think if you've got them correctly geared and you've got the right weapons for the right attributes, being able to build them individually for the skills that they're used by. If we look here, the jump ability uses my hero cage, which is my axe, my two-handed axe. Now, if I have some kind of leap-powered ability on that, making my leap significantly more powerful, this could really benefit him. Whereas I could reserve my dual-wield skills for some much more powerful dual-wield ability-focused things. So building everything individually, I think, is going to grant it more power overall. But I enjoy him. He's strong. He's got the most unique mechanic. Having the 4-tier arsenal is really good. Sadly, I cannot test out his expertise system. I could see it, but I can't see what actually happens here. I don't know what I could do here. If anything, maybe his expertise is just things leveling up and they get stronger. I don't know, sadly. I don't know if I'll be able to choose different weapons to use in different scenarios, which could greatly enhance his power. Time will tell. But as of now, he's not very tough. He's probably the least toughest class of all of them. He does more damage than the druid, but he does take a lot more damage too. He needs a little bit. I think he needs a bit of a rework in his passives. As of current iteration in the beta, he's not very tough, leading him on number 4 because his survivability is not quite there. Okay, so third on my list is the Rogue. Very fun class, I must say. I'm having a blast playing on the Rogue. Though I will say, doesn't seem to be anything special about the Rogue. She seems pretty generic across almost every game that has a Rogue in it. Even though specialization, unfortunately only being level 17, because I didn't have much time in this beta to play all 5 classes to their full extent. I don't know what options we're going to have it, but this seems to be kind of a click and forget mechanic. So you're going to choose the best one for your build and then just forget about it, which is kind of underwhelming. It's not an active mechanic. It's not going to be something that you're going to be constantly playing with as the Rogue. You're just going to be clicking on it and then forgetting it exists. So I'd appreciate if they can work that out a little bit. Change that. That it would be better to have something more interesting. But I will say, that's not a good start. I will say, on this build, I've been playing with caltrops and poison traps. I don't ever play with caltrops or poison traps. In every game I've played on the Diablo, everyone suggests the caltrops being very, very good, and I don't like them, so I don't use them. I am using them on this game. This will probably be the one game that caltrops are bad in. But right now, I'm enjoying them. They're fun, they're strong, they hold things back. And I also love the fact that all these mobs can see me. With a click of a button, I've gone. Now, in every game I've played, very rarely does that happen. It's you're reduced in invisibility, or visibility, sorry. You can be seen, or you can kind of get away. You can use it to your advantage, but it's never been a case of press the button and you're gone. I think it's very good. So you can use bows and crossbows. I would like to be using a bow. But this game will not drop anything for my rogue. I have used all of my orballs that I've found across a case of about 100 hours of gameplay on this rogue, and nothing will drop for her. The rogue is cursed for me. Like, everyone I know that plays the rogue gets showered with legendaries. I'm getting nothing. I'm not allowed legendaries on my rogue, apparently. Probably because it'll be too powerful, I don't know. But I have been enjoying it nonetheless. I've been doing a lot of damage. I can only imagine how powerful she'd be with a full set of legendaries like the rest of my characters. Because I'm pretty sure she's the only one that hasn't got an entire arsenal of legendaries. Other than the barbarian, I think the barbarian has a couple items missing. But as you can see, she's strong. She's hammering things. She's doing good damage, which is why she's number 3. She has a lot of sustainability. She has a lot of shield. She has a lot of life regen, mostly life regen. I noticed her life regen is pretty insane. She could survive. I reckon she could probably play a barbarian better than a barbarian can, because she dual wields weapons. She can dash a lot. She can regen. She can face tank most bosses. She's probably the tankiest class in the game, if I'm honest. I mean, these are just my personal opinions from my playtesting. But from what I've seen, the melee, I didn't find the melee as fun, personally, because I like archers. I've always been a big fan of archers. But when I was playing melee on this, she was so strong. And a friend of mine who plays rogue, mained a rogue, he's level 25 rogue is just immortal. Nothing even comes close to killing her. And he's got legendaries, so... But I mean, I'm taking damage here, and I'm not taking much. Just because she seems to be so strong. Also, the fact that she can get out of the way, she's got so much mobility. I think I've lost my boost, but I had boosts before that made it so she got faster to evade, and she had double stacks of evade. I was able to just constant spam dodge all the time with this rogue. Her mobility is insane. That with her regen should be a blast to play. She really will. Now, on number 2, we have the Lagromancer. Sorry, the Necromancer. But it's the Lagromancer. He's on number 2, which is a very tricky place for me to put him, and anyone that knows me will be very surprised by this. I love Necromancers. In every game I play, I fall in love with the Necromancers. But this is not my enjoyment of the class. The number 1 slot, which you've probably guessed by now, is the strongest of the classes. If it was my personal enjoyment of playstyle, the Necromancer would be at number 1. I find the Necromancer incredibly fun. It's perfect for my playstyle. I have played probably more build variations on the Necromancer than I have on any other class. The Necromancer's not really unique. There's nothing really about it that's unique. Now, the only thing that's unique about it, I would say, is the fact that the skeletons are not in your skill tree. If you go to your skill tree and expand this out, summons are not in here. Summons for the Necromancer is basically a freebie. You can have your build and you can have your skeletons. This is a nice thing. This means you don't have to choose between your character's build and your summons. But the skill tree from this is good. It's got good stuff. As you can see, I've got a lot of minions. Again, a friend of mine has a lot more minions than me. It seems to be quite a few different legendary affixes that increase minions. I don't know what the current cap for minions are, but they're overpowered here too. Very, very overpowered. Very strong. And as you can see, I'm just standing here. I don't need to move. My army is pretty much doing this event by themselves. But what they really need to do, I have not found a way of doing it. I've looked through the options, and I'll do it again now. You go through the keybinds. There does not seem to be a way of controlling my minions, of where they stand and what they attack. This is very, very important to a Necromancer. When they're attacking everything on the screen, they often ignore things that are summoning enemies. We need to be able to tell our minions to kill the summoner. Kill the targets that's healing the enemies, or kill the targets that's resurrecting enemies. In later game, as now, they are just massacring everything, and it's almost no point. But in theory, hopefully, the game will get significantly harder. And if the game gets harder, we are going to need to kill those healers fast. so they don't overwhelm us with their army. And for this reason, I need the ability to tell my minions what to attack. My only gripe with the Necromancer is, why are they glowing? Why are they a luminous green? I've seen a lot of games do this recently, where they make them glow, and I think it looks crap. It really breaks my immersion. It doesn't really feel like I'm summoning an army of skeletons. I get they're probably doing this to make it so I can see my enemies, my minions more. But, I mean, I can tell the difference. My armies have got big silver-plated armor, sword, and a giant mace. And these ones are floating. My mages are floating, casting fireballs. And ultimately, they're automatic. So I don't really feel like it's that important for me to be able to distinguish between the army of minions fighting on the screen at once. It's a minor gripe, and I can live with it. I have lived with it on multiple games that done it. But I'd like it if they could go back. Like, I've seen the concept of their previous minions, and they look miles better. I don't know why they decided to change it, but if they've still got the old concept art, I would be happy if they put the old ones back in, because they look better than this. But I don't believe there is anything else to say about the Necromancer. It's an absolutely amazing class, and I've had a lot of fun playing on it. It single-handedly has convinced multiple friends to buy this game who wasn't planning to buy it before. So, thank you for the Necromancer designers, because they have brought a few more friends to the table. And now we'll move on to number 1. Now, hands up. Who didn't see this coming? The Sorcerer is so overpowered right now. It gets the strongest start to the game. It's got the most potential. I've played a full ice build, a full lightning build, and a full fire build. All 3 are incredibly overpowered. And if you combine them together, it's godly. It's absolutely godly. The amount of barrier you can get to survive almost anything. As you can see right now, I'm playing a bit of a hybrid build. Putting down the Hydra just destroys everything. I could just put down my Hydra and walk around in circles. Don't really need to do a great deal of anything. Their enhancement, which I shall show off in more detail, I have chose to put my teleport on there because that evade is so good. Turning it into a teleport. I really find it useful to be able to teleport out of the way of danger. Spamming electrical, chain lightning. Not something I really do an awful lot. Normally when I just got burn mana, but I usually do most of my damage with my Hydra. I'm kind of under geared at the moment because I moved a lot of my gear across to other characters, and this is just backup gear that I've thrown on for the video, if I'm honest. But this is one of the reasons why this Sorcerer is so powerful. Just go immortal and freeze everything. That is an absolute boss destroyer. But I could just run around, teleport, Blizzard. I don't even know why I'm using Blizzard. I don't really need to, but I can. Just freeze everything, drop a Hydra down. I'm surprised I don't blow up, with freezing them and shooting them with that, but that's it. But I mean, I'm by myself. Not struggling whatsoever with this. I've done all the strongholds on all characters. And most characters, sorry. But easily done them faster with my Sorcerer. It is so strong. And it's a blast to play. It really is a blast. I like their new mechanic, which I will show off now. I'm not entirely sure why I'm still collecting these. Kind of a compulsion. So, on here, you've got your enhancements. And the enhancement's kind of like a passive free ability that only the sorcerer can do. And if you look over the skills, it will tell you at the bottom now what each one does. When you use cooldown, enemies around you are stunned for 0.5 seconds on that skill. The one I'm using right now, teleport. Evade is replaced with a short range teleport on a 17-second cooldown. I do not know if cooldown is something that we can really manipulate in this game, if we can shorten that down a lot. I do hope we can, but that would make that pretty strong. A lot of people I know have been using Blizzard for a free Blizzard that just forms over the top of your head. Honestly, though, I find Blizzard's incredibly cheap to cast and spammable, so I don't really feel like I need it on the enhancement slot. But there are some really nice effects on this. Hydra, I should do this one, really. But after spending 300 points on that, a five-headed Hydra spawns. But I don't know what kind of counting they're doing, but that does not feel like 5 seconds. It feels like they go away really, really fast. Maybe that needs some tweaking. Don't know. Hello, friend. This bubble, for anyone that's not yet seen it, that same event started. A bubble that is just a generic legendary effect. And it's easy to get, so it really does help. I don't know why I've done that. I did not mean to waste that. Oh well. 1 minute, I'll be back. But the sorcerer is so strong. It's easily the strongest of the classes, despite the fact that I prefer the necromancer. But that's personal preference. I do expect the sorcerer to be nerfed. Because right now, she seems a little bit too strong. Right now, we are level 25 playing in the beta, so whether or not this will change, as you can see, the mobs do kind of scale. But they do scale. Which I like. I know a lot of people don't like scaling, but I do appreciate that. Because I like to do all the side quests. I like to go around, collect the whole map. Okay, let's see how well this build does. I think I'm alone here. Okay, this would be a lot better. There we go. Let lag settle down there. Need to extend the length of my bone storm. Not sure if that's possible, but I feel like the darkness effect is not that amazing. It's just kind of stops me doing my skills. I just have to sidestep out. There we go. Bit of bone storm. It's a shadow bone storm, if you remember from the beginning of the video, due to the legendary effects I've got. Using decompose to drain everyone else. With blight to poison the ground underneath them. And the occasional misclick of blood mist. I've only got blood mist on because I've got it on my gear. So I thought I might as well stick on the bar. Sadly, I didn't have enough skill points to add anything else to the build that I would have usually added to the build. It's not the best build, but it only took me like 5 minutes to build it up. So I tried to use all my resources together to make as strong as I can, but sadly, My resources didn't go as far as I was hoping. I think it's not bad for a 5-minute makeup build. I've got potential there. It's got potential damage, but do post your comments. If you've got anything you disagree with, let me know. Till then, I'll catch you in the next one. Keep being awesome.